Okay, Benjamin, how are you?
Good. A little bit tired from the travel.
You
But,
travel,
I'm good.
yeah. When did you come to Korea?
Got in Sunday, like 7 a.m.
Yeah, 7
Yeah,
a.m.
so a little bit
Okay.
jet lag.
Yeah, jet lag. Okay. So, could you explain who you are and why you're here and what you are doing to Korean audience?
Sure, yeah. Well, I'm a futurist. My background was in finance, investment, advising chief investment officers on how to deploy money, and then an investor myself in public markets and then venture capital. So I was traveling a lot to California in the end. Did a few different things, and then as Schopenhauer, the philosopher, said, life doesn't make sense forwards, only backwards. So I did all these seemingly disparate things, helped out in a design school for a while as well. Sat on the board of a number
You're
of
British.
companies. British. But I've lived between Asia and
Asia.
US maybe for about
You
20
spent
years.
a lot of time in Hong Kong too, right? Hong Kong, Korea,
Yeah,
and now
Japan.
LA, Japan?
Yeah, I lived in Japan 8 years.
8 years,
Yeah.
So it's a great career.
Well,
You know, all the cultures, different cultures.
Yeah, it's finally like my life's finally making a lot more sense as the world is becoming really global. And my friends in America, who up until fairly recently were generally looking within the US, because the US was such a big place. Now they're all interested in what's going on in the rest of the world.
That's
So
good. That's
it's a fascinating time where I think having a global view and living like you, living in Asia but having experience in the UK and elsewhere is becoming very useful. That's what I would say.
So all these travel and living in different countries, do you think you will have those experiences to make you more prosperous, more interesting? What do you think? What is your future plans?
Future plan? Well, it certainly made me more spiritually prosperous. Whether it's made me materially prosperous, well, that is another question. But no, I think it's important to have a very wide perspective because we are living in a time of massive transition, and I believe it's only going to get worse for some people. Let's say the change will only accelerate from here. I'm sure you'd agree. And so what I'm working on is a combination of people still ask me to predict the future. I know it's not popular in futurist circles to predict the future anymore, but I came from an investment background, and so we always had to deploy capital. So we had to put our neck on the line, and we had to make guesses about the future. I still do a little bit of that, and when I do public talks around the world, I still give ideas of where I think things might go. But what I'm more passionate about is desirable futures, or what they used to say, preferable futures. Where should we head? And thirdly, how do you prepare people for uncertainty? And that's something we're not very good at as human beings because it's not in our education system. So in my talks, people tend to come to them because they want to listen to predictions and stuff, but invariably in the Q&A we end up discussing how do you deal with all this change and uncertainty, and there are pragmatic things you can do, I believe.
So what is your predictions? What do you think will come first? Like if you think of technology-wise, like what is the next technologies? What is the big up and coming, rising technologies? Is it AI, biomedicine, quantum computing, synthetic biology, or what do you think?
Well, I mean, if you ask Masayoshi Son, Japanese investor who has the largest fund in the world, 100 billion, he's saying that he's going to deploy all of that money into AI. And in fact, he's recently spoken to banks who want to give him even more money, and he wants to leverage up and deploy more than $100 billion into only AI related. So clearly, him and many others think the future is AI. And I guess if some people say within this fourth industrial revolution, it's a bit like the electrification of the world. People used to have tools, and then electricity came along, and they were electrified, and performance went up a huge amount. And in this era, anything plus AI could mean a big increase in productivity. So I think AI is really important. What's going on in biotech, you know better than I do, is absolutely huge. That human beings actually can create.
What do you think of blockchain?
Life.
Blockchain and cryptocurrency.
Yeah, I followed it with interest. I told clients of mine to sell all the cryptocurrencies when it was getting crazy, and I met a guy who, I can't give away too many details, but I just remember a vivid moment where someone sat me down in a cafe and showed me his Bitcoin wallet that had $500 million in it, and everyone was going a little. It was a typical bubble, basically, and I've seen so many in different assets, and that was a shame because people came away with the wrong image, because I do believe the cryptocurrencies have a very useful function. So we're sort of, people say we're either in a crypto winter or we're just coming out of it. I think perhaps we might be coming out of it now.
You think so?
Yeah, I sense that, but it's not going to be, nothing happens in a straight line. I'm more interested in blockchain because I think that can solve a lot of important issues. Like a company I'm advising in California is doing a lot around global supply chains, and I think that's a complete no-brainer when it comes to blockchain. It could improve efficiencies. Also, you know, we're here at the UN Resilience Frontiers Week, and obviously we're talking about ecological issues. I think blockchain can be used to increase transparency in agriculture, which I think is
supply
really
chain
useful.
and all that.
So
And also energy. I'm involved with the switch token, and that deals with the, let's switch from fossil to solar, something like that. It's a switch token and a power ledger or some other 3 or 4 energy related, renewable energy related tokens, blockchain. Technologies are there, and a lot in supply chain. So many supply chain, as well as a financial, also education now. And we talked about UBI, universal basic income. That could be, done on the technology of blockchain, so that people can just, go and get the UBI without any middlemen, without any expenses for delivery costs and all that.
That's a really good idea. And I'm, I did have mixed feelings about universal basic income, but I do think if it's delivered properly, has huge potential to unleash a wave of creativity across the planet. If you think of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, if people know they're going to have their shelter and food covered, then they can really focus on what their real purpose in life is. And I think when human beings engage with their real purpose, they become a lot more energized, more productive. And if you look at the World Economic Forum's list of skills for the future, or any survey, they all talk about creativity, EQ, imagination, all these soft skills. And universal basic income could help us get there. But I think you mentioned education. That needs to totally change, because we're focused on certain skills still. And it's like when I look at the surveys, like the World Economic Forum, and then we look at the way education is, it's not aligned. So we were in Europe last week with an upcoming university who wants to start a futurology course, and they're a liberal arts college. And we were discussing the role of the liberal arts in the future. And everyone says the future is STEM, technology, and I would disagree. I think, some people should definitely go into AI and robotics, and some people need to be creators, and so that's why in California I talk about the marriage of Silicon Valley and Hollywood, creativity plus technology. and ethics. We discussed
That's very good. So, what is your main sort of business focus at the moment?
In terms of what I do for a
Living,
living, yeah,
make money.
yeah. So I'm involved. I'm involved in the World Economic Forum, a new European think tank, the European Institute for Exponential Technologies and Desirable Futures, where we do charge money for executive programs. I do talks around the world. I've stopped doing so much corporate work, and instead I advise leaders one-to-one on where is the future going, and my more favourite topic, because I've been doing that for a long time, but my more favourite topic is how do you deal with that future, and how psychologically, how do you approach uncertainty, which a lot of us can't deal with. We're always trying to create stability in our lives. So I'm advising leaders. And finally, we're launching a new multimedia channel called Quantum Futures, which I can talk a lot more about next time we meet. But just to give your Korean followers a taste, we will be inviting visionaries around the world to have conversations about the post-industrial civilization. I'm a big fan of the World Economic Forum. However, the concept of the fourth industrial revolution, I have a slight question about. Maybe we are in the middle of a fourth industrial revolution, but I think if the human species is going to survive...
Do you know whether these Americans or the people in the UK know about the fourth industrial revolution? Have they heard of it?
Yeah, everyone's talking about it.
Really?
Now, yeah. I mean, most of educated society are starting to get aware. There's still big gaps in knowledge, but what I was going to say is everyone's talking about the fourth industrial revolution, at least in the corporate world. I believe that we can't afford another industrial revolution. I mean, that's why I'm here at the UN. Is if we only have an industrial revolution with no change in mindset, then,
I thought that the fourth
it's going to be an ecological disaster. We need an ecological revolution. Yeah. So
we, like a Millennium
good.
Project, do not agree with the fourth industrial revolution. First industrial revolution and second industrial revolution may be there, but not third or fourth, because after that we have the information revolution, and now it's a bio or nano, AI revolution. So we don't go back to the industrial revolution. So the fourth industrial revolution, the term came from Korea, and that was translated into fourth industrial revolution. That's Industry 4.0. That was the guy. Klaus Schwab, that was his book. His book was translated into the fourth industrial revolution. So even my husband doesn't know what the fourth industrial revolution. Never heard of it. Americans never heard of it. Right. Not many people. Those people who are living in Korea, they all talk about fourth industrial revolution, but not many people.
Right.
So
when I'm in California, I hear the word a lot. Maybe because WEF is quite involved now, and they set up their center for the fourth industrial revolution. But I kind of agree with you. I mean, there's so many ways to frame it.
Manufacturing or industrial sort of era is gone now. It's gone, and now we have information era, and then we have probably AI, blockchain, or something else era coming.
And I understand why you say that. But I think what's necessary is a complete mindset shift from, we can't just look at technology alone. We need to look at the environment, the way we look at the world. And that's why I say we need I'm not here to trademark a name. I know lots of people are trying to fight I want my paradigm, and I understand that. Some people want to sell books, some people have different agendas and whatever. But I really think that to give you an anecdote, when I talk to people in quantum computing industry, you mentioned it earlier, they're worried that quantum computers, and it's going to take a lot longer than the media say. This is what the CEOs of the quantum computing companies say. It's going to take a while, but they could draw down so much of the world's energy supply just from these advanced computers. So my fear is when I talk to people in Silicon Valley and technologists, they are very much hell-bent on introducing new technologies. But if we don't solve the ecological issues, we're going to end up actually worse off. These new technologies could actually be a double-edged sword and worsen our various crises, and they could worsen the environment, but also the income disparity gap. So that's why I think we've got to think really holistically. So that's why I'm here, like you are. I mean, I'm quite concerned about resilience.
And have you heard of any solutions or any cure for this fine dust that we are getting in Korea?
It's really sad. It's really sad for me because, as you know, I have a 4-year-old daughter who's half Korean, half English, and she's in Korea at the moment, and I'm traveling, and it really saddens me because I used to be in China and fly to Korea, and the air was always clean. I'd literally get out of the plane at Incheon and think, wow, the air's so clean. Even in Seoul, central Seoul was clean, but now it's really bad. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, part of the issue is that Korea is also producing, it's not just China, Korea's got more fossil fuels, so
coal plants, and also air pollution for cars and traffic jams and also heating, all sorts.
It's very sad because Korea is.
Have you heard of anything, any good technologies? They're trying to, get the rain, down. And they have that solution, but not a very good solution.
Well, I don't know why they're opening more coal plants.
Oh, they're closing down. They're closing down, but they have to supply. They have to keep it open for those existing powers. They are, desperate to keep it on, like nuclear power plants as well. So it's not easy to just shut down all at once.
No. But wasn't there a period a few years ago where they were opening, like not too long ago, they were opening new plants? I thought.
They were going to, but they were stopped.
Okay.
So no new coal plants, but they supposed to close down every coal plants. They can't because of the powers. That's power struggle. Those power plant guys up against the idea of closing down. Okay.
I just add one thing. I mean, I don't know Korea's energy policy as well as you do, because I know you advise different institutions, but just as an observer, Korea, compared to a lot of countries I've lived in, Korea has a lot of blue skies and seems to have a lot of sun. So I would think that solar should be suited to Korea. So I wish that someone would find the funding.
We as a futurist, we say that the renewable energy should be 90% solar, 10% wind. The rest not very efficient. So solar here in Korea is efficient because the solar technology is getting better every year, every day. So efficiency was 19%, now it's 68%, and somewhere they are building something like 80% efficiency and all that. So every year it will be less, less solar panels on the roof, So that's what I think. Solar is very good, and also it gets very cheap, and plenty of solar. You cannot use it all.
And I know that there's a lot of I've met Russian researchers that work for Korean companies working on battery technologies.
Oh yeah.
So
The
I think
batteries,
Korea's probably-
ESS we call it, ESS. No? Yeah, Korea is sort of number one in ESS development in Korea. The Samsung, SDI, and LG, LG Chemical, and those companies are very good at all those. Somehow, China is chasing us
Yeah.
in every sector. So they are number one in almost every sector at the moment because of the population.
Yeah, very aggressive. Yeah, the same friends that I know that work, Russians, etc., foreigners working on battery technology for Korean companies, they're constantly being approached by Chinese companies. It reminds me of when I lived in Japan. The Koreans were poaching
Always,
the Japanese
yeah.
engineers
Yeah, I know,
all the time,
I know.
and then it was during the GFC, the financial crisis, 2007 and 8. Of course, Korea was already an advanced nation, but it was incredible how quickly Korea overtook many Japanese companies
Like
across different
Sony
industries.
TVs, right? Display TVs and all sorts, and even semiconductor, steel industry, and shipping industry, and all.
Yeah.
Now it's going down. Shipping is going downhill, and steel as well. Like POSCO is going downhill, as well as automobile. Hyundai Motors, and those are going downhill. And they'll be dead by 2030. Because there are air taxis and everywhere. So they have to be aware of the quick changes, new developments, and futures.
Yeah, well, that's why your Korean audience needs to listen to futurists like you to be aware of the changes.
Yeah, like you. Yeah, we'll introduce you more often. Yeah.
Right, thank
Okay.
you. Well, I enjoyed your keynote speech
thank you.
earlier in the week. So
Yeah, that was Monday.
Yeah.
I was, sort of approached by these guys.
Yeah, that was
Okay,
great.
right.
All right.
Thank you. See you again.
See you again.
Yeah, if I come back on Friday, I may just look for you again.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah,
Okay,
right.
okay.
Yeah, if you
Yeah, you're doing a